Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, everybody found out that Jonathan Majors was found guilty in court at trial just recently. Now, a lot of people, for some reason, are shocked. And I say for some reason because if you really paid attention to the trial, to all the stuff that came out in the trial, the text messages, the audio recordings, and the knowledge of how things work out in the industry, especially concerning certain people in certain situations and certain relationships. Read between the lines, everybody. This would not come as a surprise to anybody. Now, some people were saying the justice system failed him, etc., etc. Once again, I'm going to go back to, we all know how this stuff plays out in court concerning certain people, certain relationships. When it comes to the industry, we all know this. This should be as no surprise. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying, at what point in time are we going to stop acting like we didn't expect some of this stuff to happen? But anyways, like I said before, there are a lot of things that just got put out there, thrown out there that we saw, that we know of. And I feel like a lot of people didn't take some things in consideration. But that's what I'm here for. Now, a lot of people are not going to like my take on this, but quite frankly, I couldn't care less. But here we go. So from the very beginning, I had stated that I didn't think Jonathan Majors' lawyer was really trying to help him. I felt like that woman was really trying to screw him over. And that was from the very first moment. He claimed he had receipts to prove that he was innocent, which was those text messages, screenshots of the text messages. Everybody was like, okay, Jonathan, we need to see them text messages because this is looking kind of bad. They released the text messages. We're thinking, okay, this is going to prove his innocence, as he said that they were supposed to do, only to find out that the text messages made him look like he was guilty, like he was an abusive boyfriend whose girlfriend was displaying the textbook signs of a battered and abused victim. People wanted to sit up and act like those text messages did not actually damage his case, but they very much did. And this is another thing that I be talking about on this channel. When people don't use their brains, they only look at the surface level. They don't actually think past their allegiance to these celebrities based on just because they like them, because they're the same gender as them, or they're the same race as them. People need to understand it doesn't matter how much you like a person or you don't think something's going to be damaging or be true about them. The truth is just going to be the truth. Point, period, blank. So after the text messages were released, those text messages, we can say we have to admit that him and his lawyer were trying to make him look innocent in the court of public opinion. Now, I'm sure I've said this before. I think it was during the Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion trial. I don't think the judges take too kindly to when people do stuff like that. And even some people who are a part of the jury, they might feel like, okay, if you're going this hard to make this person look crazy or bad, then what are the skeletons in your closet? What are you trying to hide? Because that's what it looks like sometimes to them. So that didn't help out at all. Fast forward finally to the trial, and everything gets laid out in court. There was that video that got released of her chasing him down the street. We all pieced together everything, basically the summary of they were dating. Clearly this was a toxic relationship that had been established. People want to paint Jonathan Majors like this innocent person. We have to be truthful. He was not. They were in a toxic, abusive relationship, a toxic, abusive cycle. Now, he was on trial for what happened earlier this year, which we all know. Like I said, the quick rundown and summary. He was coming from a party in New York with his girlfriend, Grace Jabari at the time. She got angry because he was allegedly texting some other woman. And that's really where this really started, if we're going to be honest. Of course, we got to place blame where blame is and accountability where accountability is. If he's going to be in a relationship with one person, don't be out here messing around with somebody else, because that is literally the reason why this escalated the way that it did. Now, did it give her a right to put her hands on him? Of course not. But had he not been involved in this, whatever it was, with whoever he was involved with it in, which they are claiming it was Megan Good, once again, it wouldn't have escalated to this point. We've got to be truthful about that. That's where it started. But anyways, that happened. She got mad. She tried to snatch the phone out of his hand, ripped his jacket, was the clear aggressor, and then chased him down the streets of Manhattan. She tried to allege and claim that he was rough with her, that he had twisted her arm behind her back or made her hit her head, something like that. Then she went and got some random people off the street, if I'm not mistaken, and then went to the club, partied it up, went home, went to his house. And then what I think actually happened is she got drunk and then probably fell and hurt herself and didn't realize it, but then placed the blame on him because she was mad at him for what he did. Now, people were saying she should have caught charges for being the aggressor in that moment and for lying on him, because they're saying that her story was sketchy and they don't believe that he caused those injuries that she's accusing him of causing. And that was basically the reason for the trial to begin with. But the reason why this took a very sharp left turn was because his own lawyer brought up a case of abuse, actually multiple cases of abuse that he put her through before that incident earlier this year. There was one incident where he had abused her, allegedly, I have to say allegedly, to the point where she felt like she needed to get medical attention. And there were text messages that they brought into court that was deemed inadmissible. But because his own lawyer, y'all, remember that, brought it up in court, the judge basically said, oh, well, let's talk about it since you brought it up. And basically found out that he text messaged her telling her not to go get medical attention after whatever it was that he did to her, because he was more worried about his reputation than her well-being. Those text messages were followed up by more messages of him threatening to unalive himself if she went to the police. So it established him as somebody who clearly had problems. And if you're in a relationship where you clearly did something wrong and you're upset because they might go get help and that could cause trouble for you because the police are going to ask what in the world happened, and you're threatening to unalive yourself to keep them from doing it, clearly you have problems and you need help. Then allegedly there was an instance where he got mad because she had brought up her ex for whatever reason, then threw a candle at her, or in her direction, allegedly, that hit the wall and left a dent in the wall. Then basically she played an audio recording of one night she had came home drunk from somewhere, and he didn't take too kindly to that because he didn't feel like she was being a good example, a strong, powerful woman by his side, if you will. And the audio recording was of him saying, I need you to basically be more like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama, because I need somebody that's, I'm a good man and I need a good, strong woman by my side, etc., etc. I don't think the judge took too kindly to that either, okay? First of all, and here's my take on that. Why would you go and get somebody who's clearly not like the woman or the kind of woman that you would want her to be like? I never understood why people did that. If you want a certain person in a relationship, go get that certain person. Don't go jump into a relationship with somebody who's clearly not that and then try to force them to be something that they're not, that they can't be, or that they don't want to be. That's really also a slap in the face of that person. It shows that he was not a genuine boyfriend who was with her because he wanted to be with her for her. He was trying to make her into something else. Once again, I don't think the judge took too kindly to that. The jury probably didn't like that either. And another personal take of mine, how dare he bring Coretta Scott King into this? She has nothing to do with this. Don't bring her into this. I can only imagine that her family are like, why is he bringing our good mother, our good woman, our good sis into his hot mess? Don't do that. That's disrespectful. But anyways, once again, I know somebody's already angrily typing down in the comments, but that has nothing to do for whatever he was on trial for. And that's true. But once again, when it comes to the court of law, when you have broken some laws, when you have done some wrong things, once again, read between the lines. When you're in certain relationships, in certain industries where there are clearly power imbalances present, this is the stuff that happens. I do honestly believe that the judge took all of that into consideration, even though, like I said, it was once deemed inadmissible, because they wanted to see how all of this fit into the big puzzle, if you will. Like I said with the Megan Thee Stallion case, all of the details mattered. And even if they didn't, or they were deemed inadmissible, or they weren't at trial for that, trust me, it's their court. They're going to do what they want to do. If they want to bring something from the past up and include it in there to influence whatever they decide to pass, whatever verdict, they're going to do it. He was charged with assault in the 3rd degree and harassment of the 2nd degree. And that mostly came from whenever he was trying to run from her, he pushed her back in the car. Like I said, all that was on video. And a lot of people were saying, well, how else was he supposed to get her away from him? Like, at least he didn't punch her in the face or, mollywop her or whatever. But I guess it was because he pushed her into the car. And like I said, that was all on video. People might not like it, but once again, let me remind everybody that there was actually 4 things he was about to be charged for, and he only got charged for those 2. And it's only going to amount to maybe up to a year in prison, and maybe like probation or something like that. So he's not going to have to probably spend any jail time. Now, his reputation is ruined, or well, his career for Marvel is kind of screwed. Well, very screwed. But at least he's not going to have to spend a whole lot of jail time. That's what some people need to look at, I think. But like I said before, I believe the reason why they came to that conclusion to go ahead and deem him guilty for that is because, once again, they took into consideration everything. Like I said, it was a abusive relationship. They already had established that he had been doing stuff that was abusive to this woman, that was physically, verbally, mentally, and emotionally abusive. That was just the truth. I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care if Jonathan Majors is your favorite actor. If it's the truth, it's going to be the truth and we're going to acknowledge it. It was what he did. It was what he chose to do. If he didn't want to be with her, he should not have been with her. Also, they probably didn't like the fact that he was trying to tell this white woman to be more like a black woman, then showed up to the trial with a black woman. Probably the black woman allegedly that he was talking to that caused all of this. So it's just a big hot mess. And again, people underestimate what the jurors see. They see you doing all this debauchery, if you will. They're probably going to be influenced on whatever they decide to go with whenever they see all this. So there could have been somebody sitting there like, oh, so you abused this woman, then you cheated on her, and then when she caught you, she snapped, and then you repaid her by throwing her under the bus, trying to win again in the court of public opinion, and then you brought your side chick to the trial on top of that. So like I said, this is just the thought process. I'm not saying that it was right. Any of this is right. I'm saying think about the thought process that the judge, the jury, everybody involved, what the lawyers might have done or said to try and get this, through. How people would have thought when they saw this situation playing out, what was going through their minds possibly. And once again, consider the judge. I honestly believe that the judge basically said, well, once again, this is only stuff that we already know that's been put out there. Since you decided to be abusive to this woman and then told her not to go get help, and then when she turned on you after what you did, not saying that it was right, you tried to make her look crazy, like she was the only crazy one in this situation, when both of them, quite frankly, look crazy right about now. I'm going to even the playing field, and we're going to slap you with these charges, and we're going to let her walk away scot-free. Like I said, I don't believe that it's right, but that's probably what the judge was thinking, considering everything. We already know this. We know how the industry works. We know how the jury works. We know how trials work. We know how these lawyers and these judges work. Now, some people were saying that they felt like he might have pissed somebody off at a high place, and that they just used this situation to screw him over, which is, a possibility. He is in the industry. Don't mock what you don't know or what you don't understand. Anything is possible. I don't put past anything these people in the industry, these people in high places. And I'm going to say another thing that I usually say all up and through my videos, because it applies very much so to this situation as well. It's kind of hard to get caught up on some charges when you're not already out here doing stuff that you shouldn't be, being involved with people you shouldn't be, doing stuff with people you shouldn't be doing stuff with to begin with. I think people keep forgetting that also there's a lot of, again, public opinion that basically the opposite happened. Instead of them saying, oh, well, she might be like trying to, get him, nail him to the wall, so to speak, throw him under the bus. But a lot of people probably didn't take too kindly, once again, that it was established that Jonathan Majors was already doing stuff to this woman before this all exploded. And I also think it rubbed people the wrong way that even though it was deemed inadmissible, a lot of people were very lacking in empathy towards that woman. Let's just be 100% honest. In their support towards Jonathan Majors, because they like him as a celebrity, they identify with him. They basically said whatever he did to her before that actually, let's be honest, helped lead to this and contribute this and cause this to come to a spearhead, if you will. They basically said, we don't care about none of that. It don't matter because that's not what he's on trial for. Again, that might have rubbed some people the wrong way. I do believe it rubbed the judge the wrong way. So once again, it looked like one of those situations where he was doing stuff. Then whenever she did something, now she's a crazy woman. Once again, I think both of them are a little bit off their rocker, if you will. I mean that for real. And I always give the same advice to everybody. Good therapy and a relationship with God is the only thing that's going to fix that. But I start to lose sympathy for people who know they have problems, because make no mistake, they both know they got issues. But they continue to go on with their issues and just become problems for everybody else involved with them instead of actually getting help. Like, that's the key thing here. Get some help and do better. Keep your hands to yourself and stop being abusive to everybody around you. Now, as for Megan Good, once again, people have been trying to chalk this up, again, to the stupid conclusion, to the surface level conclusion, because they don't have brains that they want to use, that, oh, she's standing by her black man's side, y'all are just mad. No, we're calling her out because, once again, she might have been the one he was text messaging. We don't know that for sure. But again, if she was, that would make her raggedy. I said what I said. Because why are you in a relationship or messing with a guy who's in a relationship? Then when it blows up, you go to trial with him after it's been proven that he wasn't completely in the right with what he did and how he handled the relationship he was in. And once again, this is another case of, if he treated this woman like this, what makes you think he's not going to do the same thing to you after you're done being the shoulder that he's crying on, being the one who's propping him up and standing by his side after he did all this and this then blew up in his face? I have nothing against a black man and a black woman standing by each other's side when things go wrong, but there's a right and a wrong way, I always say this, of doing stuff. Once again, if she was in those text messages, then she's wrong and partially responsible for what happened. I don't care what anybody says. I said this before whenever they first came out with this news, before it went to trial, long before it went to trial, that it is absolutely ridiculous and morbidly unwise to jump into a relationship with somebody who just got out of a relationship with somebody, especially one that was that volatile, aggressive, toxic, and abusive. Once again, people need time to heal before they move on, because you are putting yourself in danger of receiving the same treatment that they put their previous person who they were in a relationship with before. And two last things that some people might feel like has nothing to do with this, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. Two things that he did that I really can't stand. First of all, y'all not about to sit in my face and play and act like Jonathan Majors was this chaste Christian man that he was before this trial, because he is not, and he has never been. And I don't have to know him personally to know that. I can look at how he acts, how he carries himself, the way that he says the stuff that he says, what he says, and know that he was not, once again, some Christian chaste man. So why he's carrying that Bible to the trial like for decoration, to make himself look good, look innocent, that pissed me off. I don't appreciate when people do stuff like that. You weren't a Bible carrying man before all this happened. You shouldn't be a Bible carrying man when this is happening. Don't go run to God in the Bible when you get yourself in knee deep crap. If you would have considered having God in your life before you did all this stuff, you wouldn't be in it now. Point blank, period. I done said before on this channel, I don't appreciate when people do that. Don't use the Bible and God to try and reform your image when you know you're not about that life. You're a phony, and I can't stand phonies. And again, what is it with these high profile individuals running to certain women to, again, reform their image or be the one who holds them down when they're going through it, but wouldn't have had those same women when they were at the top? Again, that pisses me off. And it pisses me off whenever we point that out and people want to act like that's not the case here. Again, they want to be stupid and make it a surface level petty gender war issue and say, oh, y'all just don't want a strong black woman to have a strong black man's back. No, we don't want them to use people whenever it's convenient and then throw them under the trash. All I know is Megan Good better hope and pray for real that when all this blows over, he don't throw her under the bus or treat her the same way he was treating that other woman. Because if he hadn't got help to resolve his issues and be a better man, the same thing will happen again. And that goes for relationships as well. Any relationship built on something that's not right, built on a shaky foundation, built on a foundation of no morals or the right thing, will crumble. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel about all of this down in the comments below. Respectfully, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm probably going to go in on all three of them on the podcast. So if y'all want to hear that, y'all stay tuned on the podcast. I have a podcast on Patreon. $3 a month if you want to hear me go in on them, because I'm probably going to do it. Y'all let me know what y'all think anyways. Y'all have a good, safe, and blessed day.